You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. Tigers win on Saturday. By now you know that. LSU beats Ole Miss in overtime 29-26. We spent a lot of today talking about it. But a big part of this whole conversation is looking to what's next for LSU. Now that you're 5-1 through the first half of the season, you're exactly in line with where I think everyone felt they needed to be. If you're 5-1 through 6, can you go 5-1 in the second half? If you do that, you're 10-2. That 10-2 should look good enough considering what you have on the schedule to get you into the college football playoff. Key is obviously avoiding a letdown in the next 2 weeks, either on the road at Arkansas or at Texas A&M, and then coming home after your bye to play Alabama in what's a massive contest, as we know. But a big part for LSU is going to be continuing to get help at receiver. And while LSU boasts one of the best passing offenses in college football, a lot of that is conceptual. And I think we know that this is a team that, quite honestly, is lacking in spots at receiver. This isn't a new thing. We've talked about it plenty, that in lacking Chris Hilton, or with Chris Hilton's injury, I should say, you have really struggled to find that deep threat that can stretch the field. I mean, you're averaging 337 yards a game. Passing, Miami, Syracuse, Ole Miss, North Texas, TCU, LSU. You're 6th in the country in passing offense per game. And in large part, that's because you're weighted heavily toward the pass because you haven't been able to run it as well. So if you can't run, you'll use the pass game as an extension of the run. And you all know that old cliche, but it's true. It's in part why LSU has had the yardage passing that they've had, because it's the volume that they have throwing the football. But to continue to improve and to get more dynamic, it's going to take something else at receiver. And on Saturday, you were without Chris Hilton, again, who's missed the whole season to this point, and you were also without C.J. Daniels. Now, Brian Kelly was asked for an update on Daniels and Hilton. Here's what he said.
I hope to get a couple of receivers back. At least, I think Daniels has got a really good chance of being back. So, and Chris is a day-to-day situation for us, but, I'm pretty certain that we'll augment the wide receiver position this week. I think that's what I think we're most looking forward to is getting some bodies back at that position.
So you'll likely get C.J. Daniels. We'll see about Chris Hilton. At this point, I don't think you can count on having Chris Hilton back. We've been saying that. I mean, when he didn't play in the opener against Southern Cal, which feels like forever ago, but I don't think anybody thought he would come back against Nichols. If you were going to miss the opener, you wouldn't come back for Nichols. Realistically, I thought, okay, well, then South Carolina would be the target. When he didn't play then, dressed against UCLA but didn't play, and we still haven't seen him. It's an odd injury that he continues to work his way through. So I don't think you can count on having him until you see him. But even if you get C.J. Daniels back, you're still missing somebody that changes a defense's dimensions. Because when you look at Aaron Anderson and Xavier Thomas, while both have had fantastic starts to their season, they're kind of the same player. They're 5'10", they're smaller slot receivers. They're not the guys that are necessarily going to stretch the field for you. Xavier, both of them you can use in the jet sweep action. And C.J. Daniels and Kyron Lacey are both very similar as well. And all of the receivers, especially on Saturday, and Mason Taylor included, struggled to get separation. Now, Brian Kelly was asked about it. He even was very candid about this and said, look, in the second half it got better, but that was a place where they struggled, was getting separation in this game. It's 16.
Yeah, so it was a lot of cover two. It was a lot of 2-and-2 trails. So we needed time, in the pocket, and we needed to get our guys across the field. So, you can attack them one of two ways. You can go vertical down the field, or you can work your way across the field in a lot of two deep coverages. And this was getting across the field essentially and gaining separation. And that's kind of what you saw in the second half, is that we were working routes that were taking time to get across the field, but eventually they were getting open.
And one of the things in diving into a lot of the metrics after the game, and this could be so interesting to see how other teams continue to attack LSU. Your receivers didn't get a lot of separation because Ole Miss played coverage. We've talked so much about Ole Miss leading the country in sacks, leading the country in TFLs, and thinking that they were going to bring pressure. They didn't. Ole Miss didn't bring numbers. They decided to play coverage and see if their defensive front could win one-on-ones. Well, consistently, they didn't. They didn't get Nussmeier on the ground, and it wasn't a product of Nussmeier getting rid of the ball quickly. As you heard Brian Kelly say, a lot of them were slow developing routes. I asked Brian Kelly about the touchdown pass to Aaron Anderson, and he said, look, that was the third read. Remember, that was so eye-opening to watch it, because while it was spectacular and the result was what it was, that was 4th and 5. If you don't complete that pass, the game is over. It wasn't 2nd and 10 in the first quarter. This was 4th and 5 in the final minute. Like, you need 5 yards to keep the game going, and Nussmeier took a shot. Like, that's not the high percentage play. But they made it work. But the only reason they made it work was because Nussmeier had time to get to his third progression, which was Anderson. So, and he wasn't open. He was bracketed by 2 guys. Nuss threw it to a spot, and as Brian Kelly said, threw him open. All that to say, it's not like you've had receivers running free. A big part of the reason why Nuss completed 43% of his passes was because Ole Miss dropped in coverage. They were dropping into coverage, double teaming your receivers, tightening up the windows, and obviously it dramatically reduced the completion percentage. So what do? If you don't have guys that are consistently getting open in a situation like that, then you have to create a mismatch. You either need the guy that can stretch the field, or you have to put a 6'7" freak show on the field that nobody can cover. Well, that's Trey'Dez Green. Trey'Dez Green played 3 snaps in this ballgame. 3 snaps. He caught a touchdown pass in the red zone. At this point, there's no real justification for not having Green on the field, and Brian Kelly agreed. They're going to move him to receiver.
Quite frankly, I think that's what we have to do. We're probably in a position now where, watching him play, all of the complexities of playing the tight end position can be eliminated by, getting him more in a wide receiver role. And I think we're getting to that point where we've made that decision that has to happen. He's a talented player. We saw him on the touchdown, how easy it is for him to flash his hands and catch the football. And he just gives us more versatility. So, yeah, I think you're going to see that moving forward.
A lot of you were saying, hallelujah, amen, thank you, where has it been? Listen, I could argue for Trey'Dez Green. I could also argue this for Shelton Sampson with a caveat before you roll your eyes and say Calici. Here's my point. Here's what you know about Shelton. He's 6'4" and he can fly. What he's struggling right now with is route concepts. He had a choice route. The one ball they threw at him, it was a choice route. He broke it off where Nuss expected him to keep going. It almost got picked because of that. One thing I know Shelton can do, say, hey, run real fast down the field. We're going to throw you a jump ball. Throw him a 50-50 ball, see if you can catch it. At least it makes the opponent respect it. And it's not like LSU's not trying. Saturday against Ole Miss, LSU, Garrett Nussmeier, in that game, threw 16 passes beyond 20 yards. He was 4 of 16. Like, it's not that they're not trying to stretch the field. It's getting guys that get open and completing the play is the problem. You put a 6'4" Shelton Sampson on the field, it gives you a better shot. Again, I'm not sitting here saying Shelton needs 20, even 5, 10 targets. But if you're looking for the dimension, put Jelani Watkins out there. If not Shelton. Jelani can fly. You got to get a different dimension. And Trey'Dez Green absolutely brings that to you. There's just no defensive back in college football that can body up a 6'7", 240-pound kid that looks like a power forward that can use his body to gain space and separation, like when you're trying to box out for a rebound. Throw him the ball. Get it. Yes. Like, you need a different looking target that can get you separation. That is very clear, something Trey'Dez is great at, and the moment is not too big for him. I mean, he was on the field for 3 snaps, one of them in the red zone. He caught a touchdown pass. It ain't too big for him. You got to get him involved. It's pretty clear that's something they're going to do this week. But you would love to see Chris Hilton get back out there. Until he's out there, you can't rely on it. One thing you can rely on is Trey'Dez Green being 6'7" and creating a mismatch. And if you're looking for those opportunities to get separation, a bigger catch radius, we talked about Anderson and Xavier Thomas. They're great. They're great players. They're also 5'10". This guy's 6'7". You know what I mean? You just create a wider catch radius to throw the ball, throw it up, get away from a defender. There's options on the team, and they're going to sift through some of those. You may very well need it this weekend going to Arkansas with as tightly as those games have been played. But hopefully you get CJ Daniels back this week. Be fascinated to see what you get more of out of Trey'Dez Green running out of the slot. Hopefully he's a bigger part of the offense this weekend. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.